Wow, look at this, merely 5 minutes walk from the car and we are already at a beautiful loch here on this incredible autumn's morning. Autumn has hit hard in this area of Scotland at least, and speaking of Scotland, it is a delight to be back. So I'm really excited this morning because this is my first photography shoot with the OM system OM5. I've only messed around with it at home, so I am itching to get stuck into some photography with it. Now, if I could just have 1 minute or so of your time, I've got a little bit of an announcement really. I've teamed up with a company called 5 Day Deal, and I have done for the past couple of years. And what they are offering is over $2,000 worth of photography goodies. Basically, I'm talking tutorials, photography videos, all types of photography genres at the grand price of $98. It is exceptional value for money, I promise you, or else I wouldn't be doing this. And I'll leave a link in the video description below, basically. Go and check it out in your own time. I'm pretty confident you're going to absolutely love it. There's stuff on there from fellow YouTube landscape photographers actually, Nigel Danson, Mads Peter Iverson, Mark Denny, and I'll say it again, honestly, it is just such good value for money. But yeah, link in the video description below. Go and have a little check out, but I am just buzzing to get stuck into all of this. And guess what? The sun is not even up yet. So I've just sort of circumnavigated the little lochen really that you saw a minute or so ago, just trying to get the bearings of the area. This is a little nature reserve right next to Aviemore. I've never been here, and like I said, it is such a gorgeous morning. I've got a small feeling that things are going to kick off when that sunlight starts hitting this, I mean, beautiful autumnal deciduous woodland. This is so special. Gosh man, imagine living just a stone's throw away from this little woodland in Aviemore. I'd be here all the time, mate. It is so gorgeous. But yeah, coupled with the reflections of that little lochlan, I'm sure you can see how photographs start coming together in my head. But if only it was that simple. There's still work to be done. And I've got the pressure of knowing the next photograph that I take is going to be the first image with the OM system OM5. Not that there's much pressure, just a bit of personal pressure. So over the past couple of days, there's been a lot of rainfall in this, I mean all over Scotland, but this particular area has been hit hard, and there is just stuff like this everywhere. I mean, this video will probably be out a couple of weeks after it's been on the news and stuff, but yeah, everything around Aviemore is, I mean, it's pretty dodgy in places, to be fair. There's just flood all over a lot of the fields, flood water all over a lot of the fields, and just stuff like this. Rivers that have just burst its banks, but I mean, look, the path just ends at the end of our little loch here, but wow, surely we can get at least one decent photograph with what's going on here. What a beautiful scene. Look, where's my path gone? It's gone. So I'll try and show you from the offset. There's a tiny little peninsula, if you can even call it that. Just there, see, some beautiful silver birch. Obviously not in full autumnal bloom, but the colours are still nice. And then look at the reflections. So ideally, with the path, I'd just pop up a little bit further and start composing, but I'm going to go off-piste a little bit, just up here, to see what we can do, see if we can make something of it. So a lot of you will probably be happy to see that I've got the camera on the Peak Design clip from the start of the adventure. No faffing about with the bag. I mean, I thought about it a bit. It's almost pointless using the Peak Design clip if you're only going to start using it halfway through your photography shoot, isn't it? Borderline. So yeah, that's nice. You may be able to hear or even see, actually, very busy road in a like, obviously it's not nice. You want the peace and quiet of the woodland, but it just shows how close this incredible woodland is to, well, civilization. Like Aviemore, the town, is just on the other side of that road. It's the A9, really busy road, but I think this woodland is so gorgeous this morning. It's not bothering me at all, right? I'm just slowly getting round to that little peninsula that I pointed out. In fact, look at all this bracken here. It's like red. It's like deep brown reddy colour. And then look, you can see, hopefully, it isn't going to be too long until that sun starts coming up. In fact, look here. Maybe you could see those crags at the top. They are just capturing that morning sunlight. That is so exciting. So everything's really nice except from, see these few bits and bobs that are going to be in the reflection. I can't hack it. See the little yellow thing there? There's a little shrub just behind him. And it's just completely ruining the whole, I suppose, symmetry idea that I've got of this composition. So I feel like with the way the water is, this little loch in here is just so much deeper, I suppose. The banks are so much further up than what they'd usually be. I think my only option with this particular composition is to actually go back to where I was over in this direction and see if I can make something of it there. Of course, with the Olympus, I've got such a long lens. I've got my 12 to 200 millimeter. So, I mean, if I can make anything work from back there with any lens, surely it should be this little beast. We'll see how we get on. So I'm back where I started. Remember this little section here that I showed you where the path ends, runs into the water because of all of the rainfall. I mean, I'm glad I went and had a look, but I think the shot's just from here anyway. We avoid all of that mess that I felt like we had in the foreground. We're still going to get a reasonable amount of symmetry. And the thing is, one thing that I think is easy to try and think is I'd like to get the whole of the top of the silver birch tree, and then naturally I'm thinking I want to get the whole of the reflection at the bottom as well, whereas I don't need it. As long as I get the tree trunks in the reflection, I think it'll still be a really nice image. Maybe as a square crop, this one, but I'll get the OM system out, the OM5, and we'll faff about a little bit, because this, like I said before, this is going to be the first shot with the OM system. And then look, you can probably see as well in the background the sun is just slowly starting to dip down, and soon enough he'll be on our scene. So it is quite difficult to compose, just because, I mean, we've got this clump here next to us, and as you've seen with the float, there's nowhere else I can go. So, I mean, I've just got to, I don't know, make the best of this situation, deal with what I've got. Fortunately, having this lens, obviously 12 to 200 on the micro four thirds, I've just got so much play with my focal range and what focal length I want. So I'm looking, yeah, about 100 millimeters exactly there, really. About 100 millimeters exactly. How about that? And then, yeah, it's mainly the two sort of trunks that you can hopefully see, the silver birch trunks, and then obviously their reflections. It's almost like an X shape. I just think that looks fantastic. So I'm trying to base the whole composition around them, really. And then it's just a case of, look at this, 1/50th of a second, f6.2. I'm just in aperture priority. There we go. So that's probably like the first version of the shot. I mean, obviously the sun is only just touching the tops of them trees right now. So I'll wait for them for a second, because, I mean, I don't know if it's going to make it a better image. Maybe. I've got a small feeling that the light is actually going to be a bit of a distraction. Yeah, so I don't know if it's because, I mean, what time are we on now? I guess the sun's been up for 35 minutes. So that's why I've got this idea in my head that it might actually be a distraction, because at this stage, the sun is actually quite harsh off in the background there. But I'm going to wait and see, because, yeah, I mean, it seems like a daft thing to do as a photographer, to take the photograph quickly before the light arrives and then run off. I feel like I've got to give it a go, even though I think it might be harsh. But obviously if we bring that exposure down a little bit, it might not look so harsh through the lens of the OM5. So we'll give that one a go as well in a second. I think one thing that's hard as well is that it's one of those photographs where it is just a clump of trees. So it's quite tricky in a way to just make sure that I'm actually composing an image and not just zooming in with the telephoto lens and taking a snapshot of a bunch of trees. I hope that makes sense. You know, sometimes, I say this quite a lot, sometimes when you're composing, there's really obvious subjects. You might have a rock in the foreground, a big mountain off in the background and a lake in the middle, and it can be quite easy as to how and bring that jigsaw together, you know, whereas sometimes in this case in the woodland it's a clump of trees, a clump of foliage, so you've got to think a little bit more about, hang on a minute, take a step back, what is it that I'm actually photographing here? And for me, like I said, the main subject I suppose is the X shape that we're getting from the two tree trunks of those silver birch and how they're reflected in the water. So I want them really to take centre stage, but then I've still got to make sure I'm really, you know, like checking the edges of my LCD screen, of my live view or my viewfinder as I'm using it here, and making sure I'm still composing a photograph. Sounds a little bit silly and it sounds easy, but it's something you've really got to focus on when you're out and about, especially in the woodland, like I said. I'll show you this other photograph now as well. And I mean, to be honest, at the minute, I mean, you might be seeing it there and thinking, yep, that's a well better version of the first one. I still feel like the first version is going to be the better photograph, but it's hard to tell because obviously I've only got the live view, or the preview, sorry, of the image on the back of this camera, and it looks like the light's really distracting, but perhaps it isn't. And it's a weird one. I feel like, of course, you never truly know what an image is going to be like until you get it home, but when you get so used to your camera, I feel like you can sort of get a better idea. So for example, if I'd have taken that shot on my Nikon Z7, I think I would have had a decent idea as to whether or not it was ultimately going to be a good photograph after post-processing. Because this is sort of a new live view, don't know if that sounds a bit odd, but I feel like I can't really tell just yet, but the first one looked all right anyway. And what I like about that is I reckon that is going to have to be classed as the first autumnal photograph of the year as well, and that, let me tell you, that is exciting. Let me show you how excited I am for this time of year. I've even got my gloves with me. Don't need them, but I've brought them out with me as a testament to my excitement for autumn and winter. So for anyone that's interested, this is called Cairngorms Nature Reserve, and it is flooded at the minute, but yeah, it's right next to Aviemore, and I mean, as you've seen, it is such a stunning little spot. Look at this now. We've got the sun starting to peek through the trees there. Oh, it's such a nice morning, and on that note as well, it's just nice to be out in the morning. If you watch me regularly, you'll know I don't often come out in the mornings, so yeah, that's a treat. But yeah, Cairngorms Nature Reserve. And I assume it's named after a peak that's, I think, just on the other side of these crags really, or perhaps it is these crags. It's called Cairngorms. So yeah, it's nice. I'm going to continue upwards because we've got another little lochen a bit further up. What a treat. So I don't know about you, but I can definitely hear a little bit of a waterfall. I don't know if it's because of all this running water, but we shall go and investigate. I said running water then, I had no idea what that meant. I meant, like, you know, heavy precipitation. I don't know how I got that mixed up with running water. Anyway, get a look at this little beauty here, all the way around up to there. This, I'll tell you what this is going to be a fantastic opportunity to test out the OM5 handheld at long exposures. Like I've been documenting a lot recently, because the image stabilization is so good on it, I found myself able to shoot at up to 3 seconds. So I probably only want to shoot this at about a quarter to second. Quarter? What's going on? It's because it's the morning. Quarter to second. Goodness me. I'm getting shutter speeds mixed up with reading the time. A quarter of a second. There we go. Wow, so look at this scene here. This is glorious. And like I mentioned a second ago, this is going to give me the perfect opportunity to just test the OM5 at a little bit longer shutter speeds. Like I said, I want to shoot this at a quarter of a second or a quarter to second, like I said. But this is absolutely the perfect scenario, man. Brilliant. The only downer is the light's gone. The sun has gone behind some clouds behind us there, so we've no light on the scene, but I'm sure you'll agree it's still beautiful nonetheless. We've got a lot of nice colour. Now, firstly, I'm going into the menus of the OM5, and you can see there we've got this live ND shooting, and this is what I've been talking about recently. Basically built-in neutral density filters, and it goes all the way up to a 4-stop. So I'm using the 3 EV, the 3-stop neutral density filter here, which is getting me my glorious 1/4 of a second shutter speed at f5.6, and you can see it up there where it says ND8 as well, hopefully. And then it's just a case of composing the shot. So bearing in mind with previous cameras, not that there's anything wrong with doing this, but I would have had to have used ND filters. I'd have certainly used a tripod. This is fantastic. It's come straight off my Peak Design clip that's strapped onto my bag, and I'm taking the shot within a matter of seconds. So probably something like that. I like this rock down at the bottom, down in the foreground, and I probably focus on him as well. And that's the image, as long as I've got a little bit of that woodland up at the top. There we go, that's a bit better. Make sure I'm level. And that's it, taking the shot there. Brilliant. And then if I have a quick look, which I would always do anyway, look, you can see how it's captured the movement of that water, and everything else looks lovely and sharp. That is absolutely quality. So I'll put it up on the screen for you to see the final image there. I might take a couple more here because I really want to make sure that I've got that rock down in the foreground properly. But yeah, no light in the scene, but a few little hints of autumnal colour. And like I said, just a fantastic opportunity to test out, I suppose, the image stabilisation and the live ND mode of the OM5. Oh, look at this little beauty. Our little heron's still over there, look, on the left-hand side. Oh, he's having a little fly away for us. See you later, mate. Cheers for the photograph. So, look at this. We've got another beautiful little loch in here to circumnavigate and to... It's one of them. It's one of them. This is borderline irrelevant. This is just stunning. Oh, mate, what a treat. What a beautiful morning. I mentioned before about all the rainfall that we've had, the running water. It's been like that for the past couple of days. Real heavy, heavy rain. Problematically heavy, you know. So this is an absolute treat. I'd say to the residents of Aviemore, more so than myself. Now, I'm perhaps seeing a photograph on the other side of the little lochlan here. Zoomed in, we've got some reeds in the middle of the lochlan, and then we've got, again, some really beautiful silver birch trees reflected in the water. There's got to be a photograph there. So if you've never been to the Cairngorms, I'd highly recommend it. I've documented this on my channel in the past, but I was always so quick to just fly up to the northwestern highlands of Scotland, and I suppose I would have never done it any different because it's so dramatic up there. That's what's always appealed to me as a photographer. That's what will always appeal to me as a photographer. But the Cairngorms is not like a second best to that area of Scotland. It is just purely incredible in its own light, and it's massive. I think it's twice the size of the Lake District National Park in England. It's so big, and the variety is just completely off the scale. I mean, there's huge mountains, extreme temperatures in the winter, huge mountains as Britain goes anyway, and obviously so many incredible woodlands like you're seeing today. So much coniferous woodlands where the Caledonian pine forest is concerned. It's a special place, and I would highly, highly recommend it. I've got, by the way, that's a good plug. That's a good plug from me. I've got an ebook on Scotland photography locations. If you're interested, I'll put it in the video description below. Quite a lot of good locations here in the Cairngorms as well. Now, I was planning to maybe do the hike up here somewhere, but I think I might just stick down by these little lochans, and whoa man, look at it. Look at this. That is just absolutely beautiful. This is such an incredible, it's just a birch woodland, a silver birch woodland. So this is gonna be incredible in around about 1 week's time from now. As you've seen, the colour is not bad at all. It's fantastic as it is. But this is gonna be very colourful indeed. I'm just going to grab another quick shot here. You can see I've got it in the old square crop mode. Just a nice bunch of silver birch over there. And I'm imagining putting, I suppose, a little bit of a vignette on the image. You're seeing it now, just to bring the attention down into that bunch of silver birch. I think I was reading last night that actually this lochen, as I keep calling it, I think it's a reservoir, an old disused reservoir, or one of the two of them are at least, or perhaps both of them. I don't know, but as far as the photography is concerned, I couldn't care less what it is. Just look at it. So although I've tested, I suppose, one or two of the technical aspects of the OM5, the live ND mode, testing the image stabilization and things like that, it's also just been a good test of, I suppose, the system, whether or not I enjoy using it. And that's passed with flying colours. I know it's been a nice morning, but not necessarily this brand of camera, or this camera in particular, but the idea of just no tripod. Or I have brought my tripod again. I get scared before I leave the house and the tripod gets lobbed onto the side of the bag, but I need to, next time I come out, I need to just not bring the tripod. But I think that'll be all right with this, with the image stabilization. But yeah, just the idea of peak design clip from the start, and the camera's there, good to go to just take shots. And it is fun. It's so fun. I mean, look, landscape photography is always a laugh, but just this whole setup feels brilliant. It feels a bit childlike. I feel very much like I did, I suppose, when I was first doing photography. Just the joy of, this is just a tool. Grab it off the peak design clip, lob it about, smash it off a few trees now. But it's just there to be used. It's there to be used and abused, isn't it? It's got one job, and actually take photographs. And yeah, that side of things is going really well with the OM5 as well. And I mean, that's perhaps even more important. How much fun is it to use, and is it good to go? Is it ready for you? I think it's probably the image stabilization more than anything, isn't it? When a camera can have such good image stabilization, just negates the need for the tripod. And it's brilliant. It's really, really cool. I'm enjoying it. So I don't really know where this path is leading now, but it looks nice, and we're still getting some brilliant little woodland vistas to the right and to the left, all over the place. So I'll show you what I've spotted here. It's inspired me to just come off piste for a second. Just a little collection of trees through here. Particularly, you can see the white trunk of a big mature silver birch, and I want to give it a go. It looks very polychromatic over here. I mean, a few more yellows on this big silver birch here, and of course the bracken is looking awesome. Absolutely incredible, very autumnal. And yeah, just between all of this here, if you look, I just feel like there has to be a photograph here somewhere. Easier said than done, but I'm in the mood for the challenge. Oh, right, that's the end of that then. I didn't realise the silver birch that I had my eye on is dead meat. But, oh my goodness, I've literally just seen this now. Look at this view. Look at this off into the background. The sunlight is hitting. That is special. Nice bit of atmosphere up there on the... Oh, this is quality. What are you doing, silver birch? You're absolutely ruining this. So, oh man, there's got to be a photograph of this kind of wider scene, really. Gosh, how things can change in an instant with landscape photography. So I've actually taken myself away from that area now with the wider vista. I was getting a bit too tunnel visioned on it. And yeah, I just don't think it's going to work. But I mean, get a look at this area around here. There's just so much to play with. It matters not. So I'm still off piste a little bit. I'm going to make my way back to the path actually. But I suppose, yeah, keep an eye out for any potential little like woodland scenes or little woodland compositions in this area, because there's just little pockets of autumn, isn't there? As you look around, I mean, look at this silver birch tree, lots of yellow, but then you've got some of them that are just still almost looking like they're in the middle of summer. It is just brilliant. Oh, that looks quite nice there, doesn't it? Let's have a go at that as a photograph, shall we? So I've just grabbed that shot there. It's the dark black trunk of this particular birch tree here that's taken centre stage. And I tried a few different aspect ratios, but I think I felt quite settled on a square crop. But yeah, I don't know if it looks any good. I sort of like the way that the tree's leading from right to left into a couple of other trees off in the background, and just a few little splashes of autumnal colour as well. Oh, I just saw a tick on my hand. It was crawling on my hand, I got him off. And just mad to get back to the path now. Oh, I hate them. I'm just wondering if anyone ever does that I just did by accident, where I was using the video camera showing yous, and all of a sudden there's a photograph, a composition like framed up on the live view of my little video camera. It's something that I don't think I ever do, and I guess what I mean is deliberately looking through your live view or your viewfinder of your camera to like compose photographs. I think I might do it occasionally if I'm doing something telephoto. If I'm out in the fells and I'm just sort of scanning around for a photograph with the telephoto lens, almost like a telescope, like binoculars or something. And then, yeah, I guess I do it like that. And oftentimes I like stumble across a composition that way, but yeah, that was weird. All right, I'm going to keep sticking around. I'm not here for photography in Scotland. I'm here with my family, and I don't want to be here all day. Like, I should probably see them at some stage, you know. But yeah, this is just too much fun. Let me try and show you this. Look at that. Hopefully you can see off in the background through the trees. We've just got a load of low-lying cloud on the top of those crags there. All the trees just disappearing off into it. So much atmosphere. So you can see here we're a little bit higher up now, and I mean I can see the reservoir or loch and whatever it is just shimmering through the trees every now and again, but yeah, a bit of a different feel to the landscape up here, to the woodland. Feels a little bit more sprawling, not quite as intimate, not necessarily in a bad way, not in a good way, just an observation. I can hear, I'm a sucker for a waterfall. If you could never tell, I can hear another waterfall or some more running water. I'm enjoying that one, aren't I? Going back to talking about the Cairngorms, actually, if you ever decide to come here, I would say Aviemore would be a mint place to base yourself for the landscape photographer. There's the running water. No, no good, not much. Not much inspiration, but yeah, it's a really fantastic location. It's quite central to a lot of fantastic photography locations, simple as that. And not to mention it again, but my little photography ebook for Scotland locations, you'll see a lot of them are actually centred around Aviemore, because from my experience, for such a smallish area, there's just an incredible amount of variety and some. You could spend 2 weeks, I mean, you could spend a long time here, but if you came here for say 2 weeks, you could have variety every single day going out with your camera. Right, let's continue. We're doing a little bit of a loop now, and we'll probably end up back at the second lochen soon enough. You can actually see Aviemore just there through some of the trees. It's obviously a little bit bigger than that, but not much, And I tell you what, I sound like I'm a salesman for Aviemore. I should be on the tourist board for this part of the Cairngorms. I don't mean to be at all. But I was going to say, there's loads of mint pubs and restaurants and that as well. And a hell of a lot of outdoor shops that you can, I suppose, pop into if the weather's really grim. Have a little peruse. But yeah, it's a good spot. Look, there's a bit of a better vista now. I mean, look at the location. It's unbelievable. You've got a lot of Munros off behind on the other side of Aviemore as well there. And yeah, absolutely spot on. Oh yeah, you know what, with the OM5, it's that kind of weird thing that I spoke about recently that I had no idea how to explain, where it's just fun to shoot with it. I likened it to Fujifilm shooters. I've never used a Fujifilm. Maybe I'd get the same feeling from that, but a lot of Fuji shooters throughout the years that I've been into photography, they've just said, oh, you know what, shooting with Fujifilm cameras, it's just fun. There's just something about it. And I've never understood that. I've never understood it. But I think I know what people mean when they say using a certain camera to them. Of course, it's all personal and it's not really brand relevant, is it? It's just fun. There's something about it that makes you feel, yeah, like I said before, it's fresh. It feels like childlike. It feels like you're doing photography for the first time again. It's brilliant. Maybe it's just because it's a new piece of gear and it's making me feel good for the moment. I don't know. Probably have to be honest about that, you know, to myself more than anything. Right, slippy little path. I can hear waterfalls again. I think it might be the same one that we photographed before. This is such a simple morning, but one of the best mornings I've had in a long, long time. This is just good for the soul. Going back to what I was on about a second ago, I'd love to know if any of you feel that with your camera, whatever the brand, whatever the model, however old the camera is, do you get that feeling, that sense of just like enjoyment, just simple, genuine enjoyment of going out with your camera and you just love using it as a tool? I don't know what it is, or if somebody could try and explain what that is. It's probably just because I've got a new piece of gear. But yeah, comment down below. I'd love to know whether or not any of you get that feeling with your camera, regardless of the brand, like I said. So it's started getting a little bit busier now. I always feel like, in hopefully a non-arrogant way, that is the photographer's cue to leave. I love having places to myself, and my phone's going off telling me that, Henry, you need to have one of your eye drops, and I've left them in my car, so I'm without choice really on that one. I just wanted to say once again, please do go and check out this 5-day deal. Honestly, I do not work with brands and companies unless it's good, especially unless it's good for yous. Click the link below. Please go and check it out. It's an incredible deal. I promise you, you're going to love it. And thank you so much for tuning in from the wonderful Cairngorms and this incredible couple of lochans or reservoirs, whatever they are. Whoa. And yeah, I'll chat to you in a bit. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you on the next adventure. Out.